Thank you for everyone for joining me. What we're going to do is want to outline the agenda here. I'll share a little more details on exactly who I am for anyone who's not familiar. We're going to go over some strategies to grow your accounting, bookkeeping, or coaching practice, stuff we learned here in the US and developed, and also we now have a location in Australia, growing and growing strong, and we'll share some tips that we've learned specifically from Australia. Laura Elkis-Lassie is our president of our organization in Australia. She is going to be joining in on the chat too. So you're welcome to ask specific questions. Just make sure you post it to all panelists. And if Laura can answer the question, she'll jump on it. So we're going to go over some specific strategies to help grow your business based upon a Venn diagram. I'll explain what that means in a second. I am going to share some about Profit First Professionals, a little bit about our organization. I know there's some folks here that were interested, have reached out to Laura and also myself. So I'll share some details about that. And if you want to inquire about membership, I'll share that. And then I want to wrap up on a very specific, what I believe to be a highly actionable strategy that will impact your business. My goal here for today is we'll spend 40 minutes or so together on the phone. I want you to leave with highly actionable tasks or highly actionable items that you can use in your business, leverage to stand out and differentiate yourself, to grow your practice, to double your revenues, triple your profits or more, and position you for great success. And if this is something you want to explore together with us at the end, we'd be honored to talk with you. But if you're here just to gain knowledge, it's a privilege to have you that way too. Okay, so let me explain a little bit about myself first. My name is Mike Michalowicz. I am the author of Profit First. You can see I have it right up there. While still organizing my office, I was able to strategically position that. I noticed the camera is kind of cutting in and out at times. I do have a lighting issue, so I apologize if that becomes a problem. Let's see. There's nothing I can do about it. Oh, there it goes. I am the author of Profit First, as I was saying. I've written other books too, and specifically, my own story is I am a client of accountants and bookkeepers. It's likely if I was in your area growing a business, I may have interviewed you. Over the years, I've worked with easily a dozen plus different accountants and bookkeepers in my mix of businesses. Well, I've had the good fortune of building and selling businesses. I've had the bad fortune that I brought upon myself, quite frankly, of destroying businesses. It was my third company when I truly realized I had no clue, no understanding of cash flow management, of accounting principles, of profit. I thought I did. I thought I knew everything. I remember just logging to my bank account saying, I got money, I can spend it. My accountant would speak until he was blue in the face, saying, Mike, please read the accounting statements. Understand the turnover in your business, understand the bottom line, realize the balance sheet and how your assets tie into your liabilities and so forth. And while I made a good face listening to him, really eager, the reality was I never used any of those processes. I reverted to bank balance accounting. Log into my bank accounts. If I have money, I could spend it. And if I didn't have money, I'd panic and try to sell anything to anybody. Well, the result was I had two successful businesses, not because of my process. I was in the right place at the right time. My third company, which was a angel investing company, we helped all these different startups. Really, we didn't help them. We invested in them, and I gave them poor direction. I had no clue what I was doing. I had no right to be in that space, and subsequently lost all my money. I'll never forget the day. It was February 14th, Valentine's Day, February 14th, 2008. 10 years ago, a little bit over 10 years ago now, that I got a call from my accountant, and he said, Mike, it's my professional suggestion that you immediately declare bankruptcy. I'd become a self-made millionaire in my early 30s and then evaporated all of that money because there's just arrogance and ignorance and a lack of understanding of accounting. Well, scroll down here so I can see some comments coming in. So sure enough, I had to go home to my family that day and share what was going on. Now, I never declared bankruptcy. I don't believe that was fair or appropriate. to my creditors. I felt I had to account for my own mistakes. And just to answer Janelle's question, this call is not being recorded. We're doing this one live, so this won't be shared after. So please stick through. I'm sorry you're having a little unstable connection over there. I lost all my money. Came home to my family and told them that we were about to lose our home, which we did. We moved to a rental. We lost our vehicles, our possessions. My daughter, who was 9 years old at the time, I'm actually going to go see a little bit later tonight. There's a little party as they're going back to college. So in about an hour, I'm just going to head out and see her for a little bit. She was 9 years old at the time. I had to look her in the face and say, I'm sorry, sweetie, but you can't go to horseback riding lessons anymore. I can't afford it. And the tears were streaming down my face, and the tears started streaming down hers, and she got up as fast as she could, and she ran away. And gosh, every time I think about it, I've told this story countless times now, and every time I think about it, it hits me. Because this moment is a moment that will live with me until the final breath I take on this earth. I thought my daughter was running away. She ran as fast as she could away from me. And I'll be honest, I know you've been in this situation. I don't know if it's been about finances or trauma or something, a bad experience. I don't know. I just know you've had that dark day. I'm not sharing this to seek your sympathy or your empathy. I'm just sharing this because I think you can relate to it. When she ran away, I thought that was the solution. You know, when we have our darkest day, the solution is to run away, to go where no one knows who we are. So as tough as it was to see my daughter running away from me, I also respected it because that's what I wanted to do. Here's the thing. She wasn't running away. She was running as fast as her little legs could carry her to her bedroom. And there she ran back in hand was her piggy bank. She put it down in front of me, looked up at me with these big blue eyes and said, Daddy, Daddy, I'll save us. I'll support us. That moment was, it's a strange mix of emotions and feelings. I felt so angry at myself, and I felt so honored and humbled by my daughter who was giving away her life savings. That piggy bank was wrapped in duct tape and rubber bands, not because but the piggy bank had ever broken. It was because she didn't want the money taken away from her. She was saving up to get a horse one day. That was her life savings. And she decided in that moment that it was more important to save me. I, from that day forward, have been put on a path. I wasn't clear about it in the beginning. I struggled for years, but it became very clear that I needed to find a better way to handle finances, something better for myself. I needed to eradicate entrepreneurial poverty, this perception that entrepreneurs are wildly successful, but they're really struggling check to check. There's a study I read, emanated out of the US, became a global study in Australia, throughout the world, that 83% of small business owners are not sustainably profitable. And what I mean by this is they don't have quarterly profit distributions. They don't take year-end quarters. The money they take out is to pay a meek salary. It is not a bonus above and beyond their compensation. The vast majority of small business owners are surviving check to check. I'm just curious in the chat right now, if you can relate to that, would you mind just share what your experience has been like with your clients? What percentage of your clients are in that check to check survival? Is it 70%, 80%? I'm curious how close you're to the stats. And I think if you share that, there's the first comment, 80%. I think it would be helpful because then we can see, what we're dealing with here. So I see an 80%, probably a good 30%, if not more. The rest haven't let us know, right? They don't even disclose it. Half your clients, all are week to week. Heather, thanks for sharing that. Tatiana, I see. I hope I pronounced your name correctly. 50%. Laura, 80%. Yeah. So what you're sharing, thank you for sharing that. 90% what you're sharing is the reality. Most entrepreneurs struggle check by check. Mark, thank you. 50%. Half of my clients are surviving check by check. And the reason is because they are reverting to bank balance accounting and consuming the money that's there. I think the biggest opportunity we have now as accountants, as bookkeepers, as consultants, is to guide clientele, our clientele, to profitability. It's what they need most. I can't tell you how many emails, I thought one just popped in, my emails over there, but no. How many emails come in every day? 30, 40? It's hard to tell. Every day of entrepreneurs asking me about Profit First and exploring it and wanting guidance and sharing their stories. Now, there's another thing going on here. So that's the entrepreneurial need. There's another thing going on in the accounting space that perhaps you're experiencing. It's the innovation of technology. It's actually emanating out of your part of the hemisphere, New Zealand, Australia. You know, the technology, Xero is one that comes to mind, is changing the face of traditional accounting, where I, as an accountant or bookkeeper, would do historical, data entry and historical analysis and tell my client, you didn't do so well or you did so well. That's changing. The software is automating that. It reconciles accounts automatically. That used to be a manual process. It's doing a lot of the accounts payable and receivables. It's giving some historical recommendations and advice and synopsis. So with this pressure of software coming in, there's a change in the industry. I want to show you a diagram, a Venn diagram of how I think this actually is the greatest opportunity that's ever been in front of accountants, bookkeepers, and consultants, what I call the ABCs. A Venn diagram, you may be familiar with it. I'm not a big user of PowerPoints, so this is my PowerPoint. A Venn diagram is an intersection of three circles. So those are circles. I just noticed I made some kind of scratches there, but of these things, there's three elements that if we master this, we can position our business for colossal growth, really to capture the opportunity. The first element is a true unique offering. What distinguishes you in the market from the competition? You see, with accounting and bookkeeping, with the sophistication of software, there's this commoditization that's going on. If you do accounting, so does the guy down the street, so does someone else, and sure enough, the software can do it now too. What happens when there's commoditization, there's a force for downward price pressure because everyone's offering the same thing. Customers will say, well, if everything's the same, I want the cheapest option. So the way to break out of commoditization is uniqueness. What do you do that's truly distinct in the market? One of my examples I like to use is with Apple computers. I just like to use that name just because it's a prolific brand. I know you're familiar with it. Steve Jobs realized that when he entered the smartphone space, for example, there was countless smartphones out there. In fact, the incumbent was BlackBerry, or Crackberry as they called it. And Steve Jobs saw the growing market, but realized that it was already saturated with competition. The mindset, by the way, too, was that the BlackBerry had all these different buttons down there. Competitors were looking at that and trying to figure out fancy alternatives. I don't know if you remember the ones that had a screen. You could slide it up, and behind the screen was an entire keyboard. Steve Jobs said, we're going to do something unique. We're going to remove the buttons. And as a result, was the first company to make a phone that was effectively buttonless. This is an old iPhone I have on me right here. It's in an encasement, so it looks a little bit different, but that's an iPhone. And you can see it has the one button. Steve Jobs demanded that they make something unique, and it was remove the buttons. As a result, Apple was the first company to blend technology with art, uniqueness. What can you do that distinguishes you in the market? What can you do that very few other people are offering? That makes you distinct. The nice thing is you probably already have the inherent talents within. Grab and embrace that uniqueness, what distinguishes you, and bring that to market. So look to be different than the market. That's uniqueness. But there's more to the formula here. If you're unique and there's nothing else going on, you actually can't grow a business. You need to have what I call top client demand. There has to be a customer base that's seeking that out. Who are the customers that want that uniqueness? We can go back to Steve Jobs and Apple Computer. Not everyone said, oh, wow, I want something that's really, artful looking. That sounds amazing. That's not how Apple got started. Actually, when Apple got started, they were really challenging traditional PCs and that kind of clone mindset. And they came out with very art-oriented equipment, the Apple IIe, the Lisa computer, now subsequently the Macintosh. But who's the market that resonated with it? It was this community. Whoops, we're here at top clients. The top clients that resonated with it were design studios, were schools. So Apple initially, if you remember the history of that company, penetrated very specific markets and then broadened out. And the iPhone's a good example of a product that went extremely broad, and so did their other products. So define something that's unique about you, but then target a very specific community that need resonates with. Who wants to buy what you're offering? Now, I'll give you another example of a company that's exploiting this, and it's Profit First Professionals. When I started this organization and Laura and I partnered together to do this, we said, who's the community that's out there that needs a unique service? Well, clearly, the unique service is driving profitability. In fact, you all answered it, that the majority of your clients, 50% or more of your clients in many cases, have a unique need to have profitability in their business. They're struggling, and that's the client demand. You already have some of these clients. Now, I would argue the opportunity becomes even stronger as you specialize in a niche or niche, a vertical, right? When you take that specialized offering it and offer it to a special community, learn their idiosyncrasies, their needs, cater to them, now you're really distinct in the market. But there's one more thing. If you want to grow your revenue, if you want to double it, triple it, or beyond, if you want to grow that profitably in extraordinary ways, we need the third part of this diagram, and it's systems. I apologize for my handwriting, and I hope it's not reversing on the screen. If it is, I apologize for that. But this says uniqueness that resonates with top clients, and it must be systematized. What I mean by this, and interestingly, just now I got an email from someone asking about Profit First. What I mean by this is what is distinct about your offering that distinguishes you in the market, who's the community you can cater to leverage up that distinct uniqueness you have, and how do you make it run on automatic? Systematize it, because when it happens on automatic, then the business can scale indefinitely. If it's systematized, if you have to do every element of it, then it's only, your business is only going to grow within your capability. So you need to consider all these three elements. Let me give you another example, and then I'll share kind of the pitfalls of only doing it partially. I don't know if they're popular in Australia, but there was a circus here that perhaps you've heard of called Ringling Brothers and Barnum Bailey Circus. I think they performed internationally. They today are now bankrupt and out of business. What happened was they were what was called the incumbent circus. And they were competing against other circuses that were regional. For example, if you ever decide to visit New York City, and if you haven't been here, we'd love to have you here in New York. Please visit. New York City, if you came with your family perhaps and you said, you know what, let's catch a circus. We've never seen an American circus. Let's go to see this. And you saw an advertisement for Ringling Brothers and Barnum Bailey Circus, and you saw an advertisement for Big Apple Circus, which perhaps I suspect you've never heard of. They were a regional circus in the New York City area, the Big Apple, they call it. Chances are, if prices are the same, you will choose Ringling Brothers because there's a higher likelihood you recognize the name brand. So an incumbent will win the business. The only way for the secondary players to compete is by actually reducing price. And if you see that Ringling Brothers for a premier seat costs $100, which they dictated at the preeminent venue, which was Madison Square Garden, and the Big Apple Circus was performing at the same venue, they can only charge about $50 for the best seats. The reason was because they weren't a recognized brand. But there's a certain cost point where you say, well, it's half the price. You know what? Let me do the Big Apple Circus. It's probably the same. And then we justify the purchase. Only if the price is low enough. That's called downward price pressure. Well, the challenge is, as more circuses set in, the consumer and Big Apple Circus drops its price, it forces then Ringling Brothers to compete, and they have to actually drop their price because everyone else is undercutting them, and it becomes this fight to the bottom. This is what we see happening in the ABC space, the accounting, bookkeeping, and consulting space. The exact same thing. As technology is coming in, Vendors are being threatened by that, so they drop their price, which then forces downward price pressure, and you may start to experience it if you haven't yet. You may have customers say, oh, how much are you? And then they look somewhere else. That's downward price pressure. There's one circus, and I know, actually, if you want to say it before I say it, put in the chat. There's one circus that dictates a massive premium. Not only have they not gone out of business like Ringlings, they've doubled or even tripled the price. They charge $200 to $250 a seat at the preeminent venue. Does anyone, Julian, winner. Yes, it's Cirque du Soleil. Cirque du Soleil. Cirque du Soleil is a Canadian-based performance troupe. They come to the US, they now perform internationally. And what Cirque du Soleil did was they embraced this model. They determined they needed to be truly unique. I mean, truly unique. They then catered to the client demand that was out there, people seeking entertainment with a new presentation of it. And it is a system, which we'll explore a little bit more shortly, but it is systematized. Now, here's the most interesting thing. They used the same performers from Ringling Brothers. When Ringling Brothers went under, all those acrobats and performers went to Cirque du Soleil. You're seeing the same performers. The show has been modified, but there's a lot of infrastructural similarities. They made small but significant changes in the way they present. They made it theatrical, and then they explode as a new flavor of a circus. And they are dominating. Everyone knows Cirque du Soleil, and Ringling Brothers is out of business. This opportunity exists for you today. You can go the way of Ringling Brothers, stick with the old formula, but we know where it goes, downward price pressure, or you can use a new formula to really distinguish yourself in the market and catch the wave like Cirque du Soleil did. Now, let me tell you, if you don't do all three elements, what if you're doing a couple already? Maybe you have something that is unique. Your customers say, wow, I've never seen this in the market before. That's a uniqueness. There's clients that want it, but you don't have it systematized, for example. In that kind of scenario, you will be experiencing what we call TFM, or time for money, meaning you have something that's unique in the market. Clients love it. They resonate with it. I've never seen this before. They want to consume it. You don't have it systematized, meaning you are delivering it. It's not running on automatic. That's a time for money trap. The only way for you to scale is by working harder and longer, and we all know that's a trap. You're limited in that. The next scenario is the downward price pressure we've been referring to, where you have top clients that want your offering. Maybe you're delivering on automatic. It's been automated, but it's not distinct to the market. They can consume this elsewhere, a version or variant of what you're doing elsewhere. Well, what happens now is you experience downward price pressure. The only way to compete in the market is by being less expensive than the competition. So downward price pressure ensues. Third element here, I can't think of an acronym, but the word is this: is screwed. If you're unique and you can deliver your uniqueness on automatic, but there's no consumption of it, meaning consumers don't want what you have, you're screwed. You're screwed. I mean, like you're out of business, right? I mean, you have to have a consumer base that wants to consume what you want. The opportunity for growth to double your revenue, and I would argue to that's an underpromise, to really grow your revenue profitability explosively for scalable growth, is the intersection of all three. You have to be distinct in the market. You have to have a client base that recognizes that distinction, wants to consume it, high demand, and you must be able to systematize, deliver on automatic. When you do these three elements, you are positioned for explosive growth. Okay. Now, I want to share a little bit about what we've done at Profit First Professionals. I promised you I'd share about our organization. I actually want to share a little bit how we actually leverage this model, and maybe you can leverage it. And I also have a final tip for you. Before we wrap up this morning, I have something that's I think can be a game changer, and it's very easy to implement, but I'll save that as a cliffhanger, if you will, for the very end. Let me tell you a little bit about Profit First Professionals first. I'm very proud to say we have an Australian presence. I met Laura Elgis-Lassie going back now, I want to say 2 years ago, when she became a member of Profit First Professionals, but we only had a US location at the time. We had grown over, I think it was over 250 members. And I flew down to Australia for a conference, and I met with Laura, and she opened my eyes to something that was very clear. For us to really have an impact on Australian entrepreneurs, we needed to have a presence in Australia. The way Profit First is implemented in Australia is predominantly similar, but there are some uniquenesses that really couldn't be served out of the US market. Like, we don't have GST, and we're kind of grateful for it. But we we don't have GST, and there's these other elements, a law and so forth, that you need to comply with that are specific to Australia. So Laura said, I got an idea. Let's open an office down here, and I will lead it. And I'm so proud to say that about a year ago, we made it official, and our Australian presence is growing significantly. And we're looking, though, to grow it more, because we have just scratched the surface on the demand from entrepreneurs for Profit First professionals. So real quick, what are we? We're a membership organization specifically for ABCs, accountants, bookkeepers, and consultants who are looking to provide profit services for their clientele. We're looking to work with accountants and bookkeepers who are looking to be more consultative to their client base and to address their biggest need. Now, we've used this formula. The top clients have presented themselves. And you actually, when I asked you guys, how many of your customers are struggling with true profit, the entrepreneur's definition of profit, where there is bonus money beyond a reasonable salary for them. And the numbers ranged, I'm scrolling back now, 90%, all of them, 50%, a substantial 80%, a substantial amount. That is massive demand. We get, just in the US market alone, 30 inquiries a day now. If people ask me about Profit First, I already alluded to it, and one came in while we were talking. So the demand is there. Then the second thing is there a unique offering? I'm proud to say that Profit First is now internationally the #1 system in the world for bringing profitability to small businesses. The #1 brand in the world is the most recognized brand in the world to bring profitability to small businesses. We are the incumbent, the established, the big name out there on this. It is truly unique. We're the only one that has this method, and it's protected. It is trademarked, copyrighted. It is protected material. It's in that book. That's a 100-year copyright. So the opportunity is, if you decide to join an organization, is you are part of a very distinct market. You are the only person that can provide Profit First when you're a member. No one else can. In the U.S. market, Laura can speak this better than I can. In the U.S. market, there's over 80,000 accountants, over 100,000 bookkeepers. It's 180,000 competitors right there. When it comes to consultants, now the number more than triples. We're talking over 500,000 to 1 million providers of these services, of traditional services. And we have 300 people that are doing Profit First, a massive differentiator. Those 500,000 or so are fighting each other over crumbs, and we come in distinct, not part of that competitive downward price pressure community, with a offering that's truly distinct to the market and no one else is offering. We are staying small, and we will forever be a small organization offering a very elite service. So that's how we're leveraging uniqueness and systemization. Well, this is the part I'm most proud of. We have spent now over 4 years and more aggressively are systematizing everything. We call it the done for you. The marketing components, the copyright, how do you distinguish yourself? It's all done. When you become a Profit First professional, you just use that information, content we've produced. We developed this thing we call the Profit Assessment Tool, a tool to automatically analyze where your clients are and develop a rollout plan to drive them to the levels of profitability that you determine they can get to or want to get to. The whole of the system's done for you. And our members charge a premium for that just by inputting the numbers into our system, and the system spits it out. Now, we've developed and spent a large amount of money to develop this system, and that's part of what you get when you're a Profit First professional. The knowledge that we've gathered, the skill sets that we've developed over the years, automatically delivered, and you can roll this out to your clients. If you elect to pursue Profit First professional membership, it is a really special way to differentiate yourself in the market. You will be unique. The processes, systems to driving profit for your clients is done automatic, and we will coach you through the process. We will show you how to transition from traditional accounting, bookkeeping, consulting to the new level of profit consulting. So that's basically what we're about. If you do have some specific questions too, feel free to put it in the chat. I do want to share, if you're interested in considering or pursuing Profit First membership, we did set up a website where you can simply apply to have a conversation. So this is the website, and Laura, if you're there, if you could share the link too. It's Profit First Professionals. I'm sorry, Profit First Australia. Thank you. See, Laura already put it up there. You can just copy and paste that in. ProfitFirstAustralia.com.au/apply. So Profit First Australia. That's our website. .com.au apply. Go to that page and it'll bring you to a little application. We want to learn more about you, what you're looking to do. Here's the goal of that call. It's so that we can spend time on the phone to explore what your objectives are, and honestly to see if you're a complement to what we're doing as a family. We're a big community of members now. We want to make sure that you're a complement to what we're doing. And as importantly, perhaps more importantly, are we a complement to what you're doing? Does Profit First complement where you're looking to see your business? Does it complement the growth you're looking to achieve? Do you want to move into this consultative model? So I ask that you go right now, just go to that link. It's in the chat. You can copy and paste it. Why don't you put it up there and fill it out? Maybe you can fill it out after we're done with our webinar, or maybe you can start now. But please go here now, check it out, and you can learn more about our organization. We have more, we're in a beautiful position. There's more demand from entrepreneurs than there are Profit First professionals. And it will be like that for quite a long time. And Victoria, I see that you already applied. So thank you. Thank you for doing that. And I hope we're exploring to see if there's a good fit here. The demand is increasing faster than our membership. And that's a position we want to stay in for a long, long time. Does it mean the day you become a Profit First professional that you'll be inundated with prospects? No. What it means, the day you become a member of Profit First Professionals, we're going to start training you in the Profit First methodology. We're going to ensure that you've mastered it and know it inherently, that you're actually doing it for yourself. Because the only way to authentically represent something is to do it yourself. Make sure you understand it and are doing it yourself. And then we start rolling it out, show you how to distinguish yourself in the market and attract these prospects that are looking for it. Okay. Let me get on to the last tip. I wanted to share one last strategy with you that, regardless if you decide to become a PFP or not, and I hope you do pursue it, but you can start using this at least to start triggering this methodology where the golden opportunities here, that the golden seed for rapid growth. How you do it, and you can do this today, is simply by changing the label you use for your organization, for what you do. Someone comes to you and they say, what do? You say, well, I'm an accountant. I'm a bookkeeper. The problem with that is they instantly have a vision of what that is. If I tell you I'm a lawyer, you'll say, well, I know what a lawyer does. I can go on and say I'm the best lawyer ever and I have all these credentials and I'm amazing, but I have to argue why I'm better than the competition. I've already put myself in that same box. The better strategy is not to use a label where the consumer will put you in a box. If you say an accountant, their inherent subconscious response is an accountant is just an accountant, and now you have to struggle to get your way out. If you're a bookkeeper, well, all bookkeepers are the same. According to them, it's not true, but according to them, we now have to struggle to get our way out. Instead, come up with a new label. And one label that our Profit First professionals use is a profit advisor. You see, when a client says, well, what do you do exactly? Our members will say, I'm a profit advisor. The client or prospect will say, well, what's that? And if you can get your prospect saying, what does that mean? That means they haven't put you in the generic box of competition. You say, well, I'm a profit advisor. I have done excellent bookkeeping services, but you should expect that from anyone. And that little you should expect it from anyone is necessary because the client thinks all bookkeepers are the same. So you say, I'm excellent at bookkeeping, and you should expect that from anyone. But I use my bookkeeping skills additionally to drive profit. You see, I've become certified in the Profit First methodology, and they go back to that differentiator. So my challenge to you is, what new term can you come up with that breaks you out of the perceived generic community? You're not just a circus, you're Cirque du Soleil. You're not just a bookkeeper, you're a profit advisor. You're not just an accountant or a coach or a consultant, your profit advisor. See how your customers respond, and then deliver on that with a unique offering to that client community, systematize the process, and you are sure to experience growth. I think it's no question you'll double your revenue and profitability. All right, guys, that's what I want to share today. I hope you got some great tips out of it. Just a reminder, like Victoria, please go to this link. Yeah, that's my PowerPoint right there. ProfitFirstAustralia.com.au. That's our website /apply. Go there now if you would, and you can fill out the form and get a dialogue going with Laura, and we'll see if it's if there's a mutual fit here and something that we can do together to serve our mission. Ever since that day with my daughter, it became clear to me that I need to eradicate entrepreneurial poverty. I also realize this is something I will never be able to do alone. Now, I'm not saying your life's mission is to eradicate entrepreneurial poverty, but perhaps that's part of your path toward your mission. And it would be my privilege if we could walk this path together. So check out the link. And it's been a privilege talking with you. I'm wishing you all a very good day. I'm off to visit my daughter real quick and then call it a night. All right, everyone. Have a great day. Thanks for joining. Bye-bye. Thanks, Laura. Thanks, Julian. Bye-bye. I'll see you guys. I'm going to stay on the call for a second so we can wrap up any conversations. Mark, thank you. Janelle, Julian, thank you very much. Adam, pleasure. Pleasure. Take care. And stay in the nice weather. It seems like you guys are hitting the perfect weather right now in many parts of Australia. Thanks, Kim. See you, Abby. See you all. All right. Take care. Bye-bye.